Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Fleet Europe video podcast. Today, my guest is Ponton. He is the International Business Development Director at independent fleet and mobility management company TraXall International. Francisco, welcome. It's great to see you, and I hope that you are doing well.
I'm doing well, Stephen. Thanks. It's great to see you as well.
Francisco, since a few years, international fleet managers are increasingly focusing on the transformation to a zero-emission fleet and mobility management. Of course, with you, I would like to discuss what needs to be considered to make this transformation a success. So my first question, mobility is changing. We see it everywhere, and companies are asking themselves now whether a vehicle fleet is still up to date and the right way to go. What is your answer to that?
Well, my view there is that effectively, yes, mobility is changing rapidly, just like everything's changing, but it's not changing so rapidly that it's going to kill the fleets, to say it like that. So to your question, yes, fleet is still up to date. The only difference is that there are many alternatives that companies will evaluate and will use, and they will do it with the help of companies like us. But again, we believe that fleets will still be very important today and tomorrow in the future.
Okay. Your company, TraXall International, offers business process outsourcing for fleets both in Europe and in Latin America. And due to your company's structure, you are deeply rooted in those markets, which bundles a lot of know-how, of course. Can you give us an overview of how you see the development of zero-emission fleets across Europe and how your company, TraXall, can support that?
Yes, well, what we are seeing is that on the one hand, generally speaking, an acceleration or a growing interest in companies to accelerate the transition to, those green fleets, mainly because of the objectives in terms of lowering emissions, etc. What we also see is that the situation varies greatly depending on the markets within Europe. So if you go to Eastern Europe, there is a high lack of infrastructure, recharging infrastructure, etc., which makes it more difficult and it will take much longer time. If you go more to the west of Europe, if you go to Benelux, Nordic regions, they are very advanced already. And, let's say zero emission fleets are quite, let's say, more common and much more advanced. But again, we still have a lot of issues and mainly related to infrastructure, recharging infrastructure, also related to availability of vehicles because it's not easy. And basically what we recommend to all companies is to make a reasonable plan that allows for a transition which makes sense, both from an economic perspective and also from an environmental perspective.
The fleet market has always been very dynamic, but in recent years, Francisco, companies have had to face some further challenges. Think about alternative powertrains, the EU requirements to reduce the emissions, smart technologies as well, other innovations, all that should lead to climate-friendly mobility. What role does a fleet management company like TraXall play in these complex structures?
Well, we do play an important role in this structure, basically because, as you said, it is complex. So being complex, what you need to do is be able to provide the expertise and the know-how to the customer, which at the end of the day, what he wants is, a solution for the actual needs of their employees, etc. So basically, we provide that expertise and we provide the easy of doing, of using those options that are in the market today and that will be tomorrow. Understanding it and ensuring that they fit the actual customer needs and not something that, is not fitting the customer.
If we go a little bit further with the current market challenges, it is of course not easy for fleets to maintain TCO control. What's your advice to secure and optimize TCO today and tomorrow?
Well, TCO is, something of growing importance because of the actual environment that we are in. And, generally in the world. We are seeing, a high inflation rate everywhere. We are seeing costs skyrocketing, and, fleet is not different from that. It's obviously been impacted. So our recommendation there is that we need to reduce dependency, from specific suppliers. So we recommend strongly to multi-supply, in all aspects of fleet. That is one. We believe that providing a competitive landscape is key to ensure that the price and impact, or the TCO impact, is minimized at least. And also on the variable side aspect of the non-asset based, I would say, we need to ensure that we utilize our fleet in a planned way and in a very, let's say, efficient way. And for that matter, what we need in there is to have a deep analysis of how we are using our fleet, how we are planning the utilization of that fleet, and how we communicate to the people that effectively drives the vehicles, the importance of their day-to-day in terms of efficient driving to reduce fuel consumption, in terms of, avoiding any, let's say, cost that were not included in the leasing contract. And from that perspective, the role of the fleet management company is to ensure that the customer has all that information and it is transmitted adequately to ensure that prices are kept under control.
Okay. Well, as an independent fleet management company, you also are a fleet manager to your customers. Now, as a fleet manager, you coordinate your customers' supply chain. How will your range of tasks expand or change as a mobility manager in the future?
We don't think that it will change. We think that, it will continue to be the same, but with a wider range of options. What we are seeing, and we talked about it before, everything's changing, mobility is changing, new options are coming, new mobility options. And what we have to do is to adapt ourselves to be able to manage that, and basically manage that on behalf of our customers to ensure that they can utilize the best option possible for whatever need they may have. So our role would be, kind of being a hub with the end suppliers, the existing ones, the new ones, and connecting them in an easy way, but in an effective way with our customers.
And my final question, what advice do you have for companies transforming their mobility today? What should they pay attention to? And how can your company, TraXall International, support them, especially on an international level?
Well, from that perspective, I would say that, it is important that we provide, again, the most important thing, which is the know-how and the expertise, to be able to make a real analysis whether that option or those options, the change that the customer is looking for, is effectively something that he needs and that is going to be positive. So there are two main aspects in here. One is the actual economic aspect, what the impact of that change is going to be. The other one is going to be, from an international perspective, is that change going to be able to be effective in all the markets where you operate, or what is the actual line plan? And the other one is to have all the information to be able to make a sound decision. Decisions that are not taken considering all of the information and the impact that it will have may be costly. So our role in there is to ensure that any change is done in the right way and with the correct decision-making process.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and for your great insights, Francisco Ponton. If you would like to know more about fleet and mobility management, dear audience, I suggest to contact Francisco and his team at TraXall International. And thanks again, and I hope to meet with you in an upcoming initiative of Fleet Europe. Bye-bye.
We'll be there. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.